this video, you see really solid workflow production tips that will not only make your wrap shop greener in terms of the environment, but also help increase profits by lowering production times and even install times by thinking big picture. Now this material right here is for a workshop that I teach for AV dentists in North America, so a lot of good examples over here how to be green. So this first material that I'm pulling out of the box, this is the practice material. Now, oftentimes at the end of a workshop, there's this practice material left over. So instead of throwing the bag and the plastic ends in the box out, I save everything and set that aside so it doesn't get thrown in the trash, which saves space in the landfill. And then I double check the material to make sure it's the right material. Now that everything's good, I put the masking tape back on, and it's the same masking tape that was in the original box. So I didn't have to put new masking tape on, which saves. Now I pull out the second box of practice material, again, save the bag, save the plastic ends and the box, and double check it. One's 50, one's 25, and that's exactly what I needed, so I can check that off the box. So again, protocol on making sure the material is the right material in order is very, very important. That's a good tip for installers, because again, if the material is not all there, then you alert production department, but also the production department should double and triple check that the material is right before it even goes out to install, especially if the material is being shipped. Now this material is for the car right now, and this is always used up after every workshop, so the plastic ends and the bag get recycled and the box gets recycled as well. So don't have to save those, so just make sure you don't throw that in the trash, but you recycle them. And what's nice is, and I think this is really important, is that, I think it's also good for the environment in the sense that every panel is clearly labeled, which helps production department and the installers know that all the panels are accounted for. If you don't label those, then it can get a little messy. And the problem is if let's say you don't have all panels accounted for and you're on the install, you're at the install location, is off location, is what happens is, you have to print everything rushed last minute, and you either have to drive or ship stuff there last minute, which is not good for the environment. So it's just excess, carbon costs and stuff like that. Plus this extra stress and you're losing profit. So having accountability and everything clearly labeled is really, really, really important. And then here I'm just taking everything off the panel right now and just cutting into sections. Very important to just, again, clearly labeled, cut everything down nice and clean. But again, for cars, and I'm, pushing this on the Wrap Institute for years, is, with the car right now, because it's 60 inches wide or 152 centimeters wide, none of these panels have to be trimmed. That lowers production time dramatically right now just because of how the panels were tiled and laid out. Very, very important. Now everything's for the car is set. You can check that off the box. So practice material and car are good. And now here's the end of the roll of the car. Lots of material, almost 3 yards of material. Most of it was laminated, some of it wasn't. So the material that was laminated, I actually cut off the roll, and I'm going to save it for later with a core tube. This core tube goes right into recycling, so this is for paper. And then the excess material here that wasn't laminated is all kind of jagged edges, can't really be used. So there's a section in the production area and for install that's kind of for both installers and production, is a lay flat backing paper section. Very important, because if you crunch up backing paper or excess material, it takes up a huge amount of space in the trash. But by laying it flat, nice, clean, and straightforward. Now here's the wall. So again, wall is not going to be reused. It's going to be used all in one shot. So the liner and plastic ends get recycled. Very important. Take the wall to a cutting table, and what's nice, again, everything's labeled clear and straightforward, so you know that we have the wall. There's no question that this is the wall, and there's 2 panels. Everything's trimmed. Obviously, take time and trim correctly. A lot of people sometimes rush during the trimming process, and if I trim badly or trim things crooked, that makes the install slower, or it might lead to costly reprints. Definitely want to do that. So on production right now, slow down and be extra focused. Sounds silly, but that is actually good for the environment, because you have to redo panels. That's obviously a lot of waste, a lot of ink, and obviously lowers your profits dramatically. So take time during this setup right now, using the straight edge, high quality straight edge, and just being extra, extra steady, making sure the overlap is exactly the same, and that feeds definitely install. Now here at the bottom, notice that I'm not trimming the white off at the bottom. This wall graphic is a spot graphic, so by trimming the top and the sides, it looks good. But by not trimming the bottom, that's a nice straight line for the installer to work off of. Plus rolling the panels from bottom to top in this case, that helps the installers get going a little faster. If you roll from top to the bottom, they'd have to flip the panel around, it might scratch. So all these type of things are basically production, is you're doing stuff to set up nice, good protocol to avoid costly reprints and also making the install faster. That's your job, but that's actually greener, because if you do installs faster and don't have to reprint, that's a tremendous increase in profits, because a lot of shops lose profits by poorly produced graphics or graphics that have to be reprinted or everything was rushed. So this is really, really important to get the nice sequential order right. Masking tape everything's labeled nice and clean. So now walls are checked off the list. Notice with the scraps now, these scraps are going to the lay flat pile on the side of the shop. So instead of bunching those up and just throwing that in the trash bin or throwing it on the floor, nice, clean, professional space with very minimal waste. Very important. That's, your trash bill at the end of the month is really, really high because of how you throw away your backing paper, especially. Now here for the floor, there's a lot of excess film on the side. So notice with this excess film now, if you don't have a lay flat section in your shop, a good tip is to take this excess material and roll it up super tight, and this minimizes how it fills up your trash bin tremendously. So that, again, the main thing is, for this production series in terms of waste is trying to avoid giant dumpsters that are just overflowing every day. So to minimize that will really, really save profits, and also, obviously it's great for the environment. With the used blades, make sure you recycle the used blades. So production department should be very focused on making sure they have a container to put your used blades in. And here on the floor, notice I trimmed off the label, kept the label on the panel right now. So instead of having to put it on masking tape, this is a good reference point for installers. So sometimes you can cut it off, sometimes you can leave it on. Sometimes you'll label it with masking tape. So a lot of different various ways to label the panels to make it easier for installers. And then everything's masking tape and good to go. So all the material for the workshop is now accounted for, and now we finished, everything's prepped. So now we don't start, setting up the workshop until all the material's in order. And the last step here is this is the excess material. So this is calendar film. The material left over from the car was cast, so this could be used for practice material for installers. The core tube gets recycled. So again, all of this excess material right there is really good for production, for loading the next materials into the laminator. Everything's recycled, make sure everything's in the right container, and then everything's good to go. So again, lower trash bills at the end of the month, nice steady workflow, nice steady install flow thanks to production, and everything's greener, not only in terms of environment, but also your pocketbook. Thanks for watching. Justin Pate.